Joe, you ready?
Ish.
Ish. All right. Well, you keep. We're gonna start the meeting. All right. It's
You have a projector? We're projecting from where? There. Okay, cool.
Are you keeping the podium over there now?
I thought it was a shorter walk.
Okay.
Right.
He's got to reprogram the little camera to learn what podium is. There you go.
All right. There you go. All right. Good evening, brother. Welcome to the second session of the Summer Organizational Meeting 2023 of the Idaho Knights of Columbus. Before we begin, we always start, actually, we do begin by starting with a prayer and pledge. I'd like to call the worthy state warden up to lead us.
Gentlemen, please rise and join me in prayer. Our Lady, Queen of the Knights, bless all the activities of our order. Keep us true to our pledge to extend the kingship of thy divine Son on earth through thine intercession. Win for us the grace ever to exemplify in our public and private lives the virtues that should characterize those especially dedicated to the service of the heavenly court. Make us always aware that as your knights, we are constantly observed, our faith judged, and our order appreciated. Accept, O Mary, this renewed pledge of fealty and devotion of thy servants, the Knights of Columbus. Amen.
Amen.
Father, Son, and Spirit. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Worthy state warden. And I'll call upon the worthy state secretary substitute to lead us in the roll call of office.
Father
Thank you,
John
Maggie.
Casera, State Chaplain.
Excused.
State Deputy George Messina.
Present.
State Secretary Dan Humber.
He's excused.
Have another one to plug in?
State Treasurer Paul
I
Cooper.
may not need
State Advocate Ken Reed.
Present.
State Warden John Thurston.
Present.
Media Past State Deputy Roy Bartholomew.
Present.
District Deputy Deputy 1 Roy Bartholomew, Past State Deputy.
Present.
Deputy 2 Bart Cameron.
Present.
Deputy 3 Jerry Burns.
Here, present.
There's only one.
Deputy 4 Bruce Savino.
Present.
Deputy 5 Corey Newell.
Present.
Deputy 6 Skip Gerard.
Present.
Deputy 7 Shane Gary, Past State Deputy.
Present.
Deputy 8 Pat Schlatt.
to swap.
Present.
Deputy 9 Brian Johnson. Deputy 10 Don Milburn.
Don is,
He's here.
I know he's here.
Next.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, I get a few minutes to introduce everybody. So, yes, we're the executive secretary.
Oh, no, I was just telling him I'm here.
Oh, we're the executive secretary to the roll call. All right, well, one of the things that I do as state deputy is I'm gonna supply you guys that are new with a folio. And I asked the district deputies that were here last year to bring their folios with them. These have some handouts in them. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, there we go. Art. Right, I think you already have a folio, right?
I have many,
Many.
but if you have information
There you
for me,
go.
I'll take
There
the
you go.
information.
There you go. All right. So we have 5 new districts, relatively new. 2 of them are guys that are past state deputies. And I thank you very much for your rescuing us by stepping into the district deputy role. Also have badges for you. So if each one of you would stand up and we'll go in district order. So we'll start with Roy. Just stand up and say a few words about yourself, you know, how long you've been in the Knights, where you're coming from and stuff.
Roy Bartholomew, new District Deputy 1, which I was District Deputy 1 back in 2009 and 2010, I believe, before all the state officers. I'm immediate past state deputy. I'm live in Pocatello, Idaho with my wife Darcy, and my 3 older kids are scattered around, but we do have our 15-year-old granddaughter Addison lives with us now. And I have 5 other grandchildren, and I'm the director of the U.S. Geological Survey here in Boise, so I'm over here a lot. And that's probably enough. I think a lot of you know me, or everybody knows me.
Thank you very much. One or two
You don't know
anyway,
if you
huh?
should.
I imagine a few of you will have a shorter story than Roy has. Let's go to Bart.
Perhaps. Bart Cameron, District Deputy 2. I also live in Pocatello. I joined the Knights of Columbus somewhere in the vicinity of 97. I've been a Grand Knight, I think, 4 times, a district or a Faithful Navigator 3, and this is my 2nd time around as a district deputy.
As unaccustomed as I am to speaking, my name is Terry Burns. I retired from the Los Angeles Police Department and moved up here because I got upset with California. I helped start a council in Adelanto, California, that's doing very well, I understand. I've been a Knight. Actually, I joined the Knights in 1973 and took an absolute dimmock for a while, a long time. And then in 2004, I rejoined because my priest kept looking at me every Sunday and said that he wanted a Knights council in his parish. And he looked right at me, so I ended up helping start the council. And I moved up here. I was Grand Knight at 1416 in Twin Falls, and I love Idaho. It's just the greatest place to be, and I love the Knights of Columbus up here. You guys do a hell of a lot of good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
In your district deputy, what number?
Pardon me?
In your district deputy, what number?
3.
3. And the year you joined the Knights was the year I was born.
Rude.
The original date was 1973, but they don't count that.
I'm Bruce Davino, and I'm a brand new district deputy for District 4. This year I'm a Knight for 40 years. I've never been a Grand Knight. I've never been a Deputy Grand Knight. I've never been an officer, just a worker bee and a good program director. But I was an insurance agent here, and I took over for Rudolph Wilson, if any of you may remember Rudy, who's still alive and kicking. I was an agent from 96 till the millennium, and I did very well, made a lot of friends and established a lot of relationships that I think I'm gonna meet up with again. And I'm just happy to be here. Thank you. Rudolph's birthday's on Sunday.
Okay. That brings us to District 5, Corey. You were 4.
Woody State Deputy, thank you for extending my opportunity to serve into my 8th and final year.
There's a resolution in court.
Yeah. Well, you can bite your tongue when you say that. No, it's been my pleasure to serve. It really has been an experience of a lifetime for me. Had it not been for Mike Townsend originally inviting me to join as a district deputy, I probably would have never taken the leap. But I've enjoyed it and grown right along with my councils, right along with my Grand Knights and members and my fellow brothers in leadership. These past 7 years have just been like I've been telling a lot of people, it's been like a lighthouse that I'm always trying to navigate for. Some portions of this past time has been dark, but some have also been really bright. I've served underneath some of the best state deputies that I could ever imagine, and most of them are sitting here. Yourself, Shane, you, George, Roy, you gentlemen have done a lot to form me as a Catholic gentleman. You've gotten me through a very painful divorce. You reintroduced me to what it means to the family and what it means to serve and make a difference. So I've been in the Knights of Columbus since 2002. I've served as Grand Knight twice at Holy Apostles, which is the largest council and the largest parish in the state of Idaho. I've had the privilege to serve lots of different pastors, and I've seen parishes grow and shrink and grow again. And I'm experiencing an uptick now in probably all 4 of my councils, and I just really appreciate that opportunity. So thank you, gentlemen. I know that even though I seem seasoned, my salt is still tasteful. So I will hope to make a difference again this year with you all. So thank you again.
Thank you very much. Who are you? Skip.
Skip Gerard, District Deputy 6. I've been the Grand Knight of 899, the oldest council in Idaho. Anybody have a dispute, I have the charter. Also navigator at 181. And I've been lucky to be a district deputy for 3 or 4 years at this point. And I'm learning more every year from everybody else. So thank you.
Is it true you were a founding member of the council?
Yeah.
Back in the day. Thank you very much. District 7, Shane Gary.
Shane Gary and I am the new district deputy, or I believe district warden, according to the name tag I just
Yeah,
got.
we're gonna fix that. I have 4 badges to order anyway, so we'll fix that.
Been married for my wife Denise for 42, 43 years, maybe longer. I honestly don't know. 4 daughters, 12 grandkids, 6 great grandkids. I'm not sure anymore. I was district deputy for 6 or 7 years, and just coming from work to go and dress this way. Other than that, I haven't done a lot with my life. But,
Right. just past the deputy or something like that. All right, thank you very much, Pat.
Pat Fleming, District Deputy, number 8. That's about all I got. I was coming knight in 1984, so a few years. Grand Knight up in Lewiston for I think 5 different years. It's like whenever there seems a hole, I became district deputy to avoid becoming financial secretary. So
That's an interesting choice.
that's the God's truth.
Kind of weird.
So in my second year, just still learning the ropes, getting to learn my councils and building that trust with the councils, and it's going well. No, so I appreciate the leadership that we have in the state of Idaho. I've been to lots of conventions, and it's like I always tell people when they become a knight, so pass this on. Well, I don't have time. So you never had time to have kids either. I said it's never the right time, so you just gotta jump in.
Thank you, Pat. Brian Johnson's traveling to, I forget what he told me, it was a wedding, I believe. So he's not here. He's going to try to join in between all the things that are going on, but he'll only be able to join online, and he'll probably wind up having to watch it by the recording. So now we go to the giant District 10 and Don Moberg. Biggest district we've ever had.
just now. Well, thanks to Shane, I'm District Deputy 10, Don Moberg. Everything I've ever been in the council has been the treasurer. I was a navigator at one time, but married to my wife Claudia. Other than that, I have nothing much to say.
Thank you, Don. Don has managed to get what used to be District 11 reactivated, shockingly well, I would say. And so when Rich Friedel, District 10, decided to step aside, he jumped at the chance to get his home council back. But it came with the whole district. And I said to him, right, that's a lot to do. And he says, well, I like a challenge. So, so here we go. There are 4 district wardens who are here. One of them is going to work with Dawn, and that's Leon Lutovsky. No, you are not, just because your badge is misprinted. We've got, Skip has a district warden named Carlos, and Carlos Tapia. He's going to be our Hispanic growth coordinator, but he needs to learn how to be a district deputy, so he's going to study under the tutelage of Skip. District 3 has a district warden named Mark Razorchek. And of course, District 8 has Monty Schmidt. I think he was part of that story about avoiding financial secretary. Anyway.
Yes. And District 5 would have a state warden, but I grew mine into a state officer.
Well, excellent. Outstanding.
I think he was already there.
Well, thank you. That of course is Ken. All right, I think I have done. Welcome, everybody. And I'm going to turn it over to our regional growth director, Chuck Davlin, if Chuck is ready to go. Okay. Thank you. Please excuse me.
Sweet. Oh, I didn't change the slide. Doggone it. Anna. I suspect everybody knows me, but my name's Chuck Davlin. I'm the Regional Growth Director for the Northwest West, past state deputy of Idaho, former district master, former vice supreme master. Joined the Knights of Columbus in 1981. Got my third degree the day before I was. Worked for the Sheriff's Department in Canyon County for 27 years, put in my 2 weeks notice on my 27th anniversary. Last shift was on Friday, was retired for 2 days, flew to New Haven on Monday to start this job. This is a great retirement job. I handle 8 states right now. Idaho's back in my fold. I've also got Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Oregon. No, I don't have Oregon. Washington, Alaska, Hawaii, and Guam. And so we work with our state councils, district deputies, council officers, handling questions, answering how come this doesn't work, because we've always done it that way. How come they don't fix this, because they've always done it that way. We're going to work on, this is a presentation that we got from New Haven and then modified a little bit on the duties and responsibilities of the district deputy. And so we'll get into that, and then we're going to finish up with council officer roles and responsibilities, because across the region we're finding that as an organization we suck at training our leaders. And so we've got generation after generation of Grand Knights and district deputies who are Grand Knights with no idea what their jobs are. They think they're supposed to do everything, and that ain't right. And if they can and do, it hurts the council, because they're there till they die or their family takes them, and because nobody will take the position because I can't do that. And so what we're going to really focus on and emphasize is delegation, and everybody does a little so that nobody has to do everything. And that includes the state officers, district deputies, and down to the council officers. So you guys have been chosen to be leaders. You've been chosen by the state deputy. You've been chosen by, in my case, Supreme. And you're here at this time for a reason. You're exactly the right person in the right position at the right time. When you volunteered to be a leader, you stopped being a volunteer, because you volunteered to do a job. And all levels of the organization are depending on y'all to do the job you volunteered for. Yes, you're still volunteers. We know that. We appreciate that. but you're not the guy in the back pew or the back row of the council chamber that shows up when he wants to, because you showed up front. And so it's important that you do the jobs that you volunteered to do. We're here to help you that. You've got a great team on the state level. As district deputies, that's your first step in the chain of command. If they don't know the answer, they'll ask me. If I don't know the answer, we'll talk to Supreme, and then probably I'll make something up and it'll work really good. So you have a responsibility as leaders, both to do the job you volunteered to do, but also train those below you to take your place. We really need to get new leaders into the Knights on every single level. So many councils across the region, we can't find Grand Knights. We can't find financial secretaries because they became district deputies. Chicken. It's not a bad choice. It's really good. I was sitting there going, dang, I don't know if he made a good choice or not.
I think I did, just so you guys know. Richard Bearlocker is our new financial secretary, so he'll be real.
Good.
Who is our past.
Yeah, so you've got some good experience to help guide the council. Use the experience in your councils, guys. Use your experience. Share it with those around you. If you don't have a district warden, please find one. Train your replacement. For those of you who are no longer district deputies, be the warden for your district deputy. Show him how to do the job. Don't make him learn on his own. We're leading on membership growth. We're leading through our programs. Our programs are what attract people. Strangely enough, people are not attracted to meetings. I don't know why. Mostly because our meetings suck and they're too long, and people don't want to go to meetings. They want to make a difference. So our programs is where we attract people, but if we don't have new members, we don't have programs. Because now we're starting to find councils who can't run programs because nobody joins. And the older members are retiring or pulling back or dying or whatever. And so we've got to bring in new members to run our programs. We're going to lead on membership experience and programs. The membership experience of the Knights of Columbus is not the meeting. There are Grand Knights and financial secretaries across the whole order who believe that. Every year we get financial secretaries who say, this guy hasn't been to a meeting in years, we need to drop him. Does he pay his dues? Yeah, but he doesn't come to meetings. Not a requirement. 18 male Catholic. Doesn't say anything about going to meetings. So we have to create an experience that people are going to want to join and they're going to want to stay with. So one of the questions is, why did you join the Knights? Nick?
Me?
Yeah.
I joined the Knights because I wanted to be involved. My focus was charity and doing things.
Huh.
Yeah, so it was programs.
You started, why, 80? Who's my 84 guy? Why did you stay with the Knights?
Because it was, I didn't have, started out, didn't have a choice because they were starting a new council. My dad said, come on, you're going to be a Knight.
That was me too. Yeah. Here, sign this. What's that? Shut up.
And so he paid my dues while I was in the service and gone away from home. But when I got out of the service and moved from Minnesota out here, it was reaching out at a Friday fish fry, or not a fish fry, just a simple supper during Lent. Ran into Tom Pung, asked him who's the Grand Knight. So, and that's a wonderful way to get to know people within your parish, to become involved. And then as you start out and you have a family, so it's, and then just always want to, I have this inability to not be able to say no. Makes my kid laugh. But he's inherited it, so it's good.
Yeah. So that's what we've got to give guys. That's what guys are looking for. They're looking for the experience of the Knights. They have a very limited amount of time. They have maybe an hour a week or a couple of hours a month. They want to put it to the best use they can. We should be where they look first, but they also want to be able to form their faith. So many of we've got 2.5 generations of Catholics who have no idea the beauty and majesty of the Catholic Church because we were taught. When I was a conferring officer for the 3rd degree, and we did get to the part of, after the inquiry, of you learned all this when you came into the church. No, I didn't. I didn't learn it in CCD. My CCD was Jesus loves you, now we're going to color. Oh yeah, and be nice to others. That was really all we got. My mother didn't know that. She thought she was supplementing what we were getting in CCD. She was giving us our formation. And it shows because my daughter doesn't go to church and my 2 grandsons aren't baptized. The young guys coming in, the family guys are looking for faith formation, and we have programs for that. They're looking for activities they can do with their families. The guys today are so much more involved in their families than I was with my daughter, and I was 10 times more involved than my dad was with us. And so we have got to offer opportunities for guys to build their faith, to work with their family, and to make a difference. And if we do that, they'll join us. We have to get off to a fast start. How many of you guys have councils in your district who take the summer off? Because everybody goes on vacation for the whole 3 months of summer. That's amazing. I was at the county for 27 years and I didn't get 3 months of vacation. We still go to church. We still have hungry people to feed. We still have people who need clothes. We still have sick and the imprisoned and the infirm who need visited. People still need us. We can't take the summer off. We've got to keep our programs going. And we've got to change the culture within our councils. In a lot of ways, why did they do it? Well, because everybody's farming. You seen the farmers now? They're on their phone with their GPS and they just got to make sure the tractor doesn't drive in the ditch. I get a call probably a couple of times a week from the new state deputy of Wyoming, and he's on his tractor calling me about Knights of Columbus stuff. So we've got to keep our councils moving in the summer. We can't afford to give up 2, 3, 4 months in the first part of the year. You can't achieve star in the first quarter, but you can lose star. You can't, whether it's Star Council or whether it's Circle of Honor. There are so many, well, I had 2 of my jurisdictions that made their Circle of Honor members on the 29th and the 30th of June. Everybody in those states hates June because they were beating every bush, every tree, trying to pull up members. Get them early, make life easy. Do your programs, get your reports in, talk to your councils. I don't know how many councils turned in their Columbian Award application at 5:59 on June 30th. Why? Because that's when it's due. No, it's due before. I keep trying to tell Supreme, not due by, due before. Get your reports in as soon as they're done. If your councils haven't turned in their 185s, let's get them in. We need that information. If they haven't done the 365, the service program personnel report, get them in. We've got to have that information so that we can get the information to guys, help them do the jobs that they volunteered to do. Know that you're critical. The district deputies are critical to the order. They are our success, and in many cases, they are our failure. Because the information, if you think of an hourglass, you've got state supremes, a big bowl up here full of sand or whatever, probably sand. And then you've got the restrictor in the middle, and then it goes out to the councils on below. That critical point is the district deputies. We need you to get the information to the council. You can't just give it to the Grand Knight and to the financial secretary, because the district deputy in the state is the upper bowl. Financial secretary and Grand Knight, if they don't get it to the council members, it's lost there. So we have to make sure that the guys who need it are getting the information. Some of our councils membership post-COVID has been very difficult. Some of it's mindset, some of it's our older members really don't want to go out. They really are genuinely and legitimately afraid, and that's okay. So we have to work around that. Some of them, it's a really good excuse. What we really haven't evaluated yet is how many councils died of COVID and we don't know it yet. Because the members discovered that they didn't have to do Knights of Columbus stuff every night and every weekend. More importantly, their families discovered they didn't have to. And so they found other things to do, other interests, other things. And so a lot of the guys who were there all the time and doing all the work and being there and, you know, this guy's always going to show up, he found life outside of the council. And so we've got to bring new guys in to replace the guys who've retired, the guys who are afraid, the guys who discovered new things. The church needs our help, guys. A lot of our churches, a lot of times we have the grand night go meet with the pastor. Father, what can the Knights do for you? And so often the answer is come back to church. Bring the Knights back to church. Because the guys aren't going to church. Because we spent 2.5 years watching church on TV. And it doesn't take very long for that's the way we've always done it. So get your guys back to church. Get the families back to church. Talk to Father. Find out what we can do for him. Not, Father, what can we do for you? We have all this stuff. Do what he needs done. And then he'll lean on us. And we become the go-to organization. As district deputy, as council officers, as state officers, as directors and chairmen, you can accept excuses or you can accept responsibility. This really is about accountability. State deputies, depending on you, all do your job. The state officers, depending on you to do your job. They can't do it all. That's why we spread it out to districts all over, directors and chairmen. Do we have any of the state directors, your family?
I'm a
Program. You're the overall program director? So you can't do all the programs yourself. That's why you have 4 chairs or 4 primary chairs. What I suggest and have for several years is have your life director call all the council life directors and find out what they're doing. That does 2 things. One, if we don't have the 180 or the 365, who do we call? Grand night. But what do we say? I wouldn't have called you, but we don't know who your life director is. So everybody's going to call you until we get it. How do I put that in? And they get stuff on a calendar. Joe Dunn tells me all the time, and I do it myself, when I go into a new town, I look on the internet to find out if there's any Knights of Columbus stuff going on, especially if there's food, Friday and Saturday nights. If we don't have it on a calendar, people can't find us. We need to get it on a calendar where people can easily find us. And he's set up a great website that if we get our information in, he'll put it out. So we need our councils to talk to the state so we can get their information out. We can help promote their programs. Costco still doing their sausage feed? Yes? Idaho Falls still does an international dinner?
Yes.
See, there's lots of good stuff. As leaders, you have to set your tone for council growth and for member engagement. We have to get guys interested in the nights, and it's not the meetings, it's not the forums. So often it's easy to get hung up on the administrative stuff that we volunteered for. I got to get the forms, and I got to run the meeting, and I got to do this. What do you get to do? I get to put a coat on a kid. I get to lift a person into a wheelchair. I get to deliver a food basket to somebody who's hungry. That's the experience that we're looking to give our guys. As a leader, you've got to be positive, and sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's really hard for me. I got scars on my tongue where I bit it off. It's terrible. You got to inspire and motivate. We can't force people to do things because they are volunteers. We can't force you to do things because you're volunteers. So we have to inspire you to do it and motivate you to keep doing it. And some of that's going to be internal and some of it has to be from us. We have to make your job easier. And we in New Haven, we've done a lot to make the job of the council officers, particularly financial secretaries and Grand Knights, easier. However, many of them are holding on desperately to their clay tablets and their chisels because that's the way they've always done it. Their job is so much easier with member management. Now we need to show them how to do it. And once they see how easy it is, they really will go, what else can I do? Because that's easy. We got to teach and train. If you don't know, let us know. We've got all kinds of, we've got our trainers right now. We're doing webinars on a boatload of different subjects. Great DD 101, Grand Night 101, council officers, member management. There's lots of information that's available for guys if they'll just go get it. Now, that means they got to have a computer. Some of our guys don't have computers. Maybe it's time they become senior staff. Maybe it's time they become the advisors of the council instead of the head of the council. Because we need to have guys who can operate in the world we live in, not the world they lived in. We've got to develop district and council plans. How many of you, as district deputies, now the new ones are going, excuse me, what? 1-year, 3-year, 5-year plan for your district? How many of your councils have a 1-year, 3-year, 5-year plan? What's our membership gonna be next year? What's our programs gonna be next year? How many of our families are we gonna protect with the fraternal benefits? The state's been working on strategic plans for several years, but we really haven't been effective across the region and across the order in communicating that to the junior officers so that it really becomes a state plan and not, this is what the state deputy said we're gonna do this year. Wait till I get there, I'll fix this stuff. So work with your councils in your district, decide where you're gonna be. I was talking to the state deputy of Montana a couple of weeks ago, and I made a comment that he put on the top of his agenda for the meeting. And it says, the past several years, we've succeeded in spite of ourselves. For the next several years, let's succeed because of ourselves. So it's something that we can plan and choose to do. Execute and measure. Once you made your plans, and you can plan yourself to death and die on PowerPoint and everything else. Once you get where you're going, put it into practice. Is it gonna be perfect the first time? No, and that's okay. Because it's a living, breathing plan. It's gonna change with circumstances. Nobody anticipated COVID. Nobody anticipated how in the world are we going to maintain the order when we can't meet? How are the fraternal benefit guys going to be able to sell all of the great products we have if they can't meet? They set records because they adapted that fast. And they found, dang, this virtual stuff is good because I can meet with a guy 300 miles away and I don't have to drive there. Our councils can do the same thing. Our members can do the same thing. Then measure your success and don't be afraid to go, you know what, that was a really bad idea. Let's not do that again. This might be a better way we can do it. Be honest with yourselves as you would at any evaluation of any job you have ever done. This is what you did well. This is what you need to work on. This is what you need to stop doing. And have your councils do the same things. Now, does that mean that our programs we've done forever aren't valuable and useful? Of course not. They're absolutely the bedrock where we live on, but they don't have to be the only thing. So look at new possibilities, look at new horizons, look at new venues, look at new outlets for our charity and our time and our expertise. Communicate often. As an order, we suck at communication. We don't tell anybody anything. Someplace or another, we took that we're a secret, the secrecy of the first degree, and applied it to everything. We don't even tell ourselves what we do. How many of our councils didn't turn in an SB7 this year? Because we don't tell anybody what we do. How many of your parishes know what the Knights of Columbus do? The Knights of Columbus has an excellent reputation of people know it's a good organization. Can you name any of our main programs? They do good things. They raise lots of money. Nobody knows what we do because we don't tell them. Our parishes don't know what we do because we don't tell them. If you don't know what an organization does, how likely are you to join it? Not really. The only thing I know about the Knights is they work like 80 hours a week on night stuff because that's what he does, and I can't do that. So we've got to tell our councils and our parishes and our people and our communities. 1987-ish, the fourth degree in Nampa decided we were going to go to the Parade America and put in a float for the fourth degree. They went down to City Hall, and the lady down there says, I didn't know we had a Knights of Columbus. How long have you been here? 75 years. It's a secret. We've got to let people know who we are. And we've got to communicate on all levels. We're relying on you to communicate the information from your councils to the state officers and from the state officers to your councils and not just the Grand Knight and Financial Secretary. It's got to get to the guys who need it. To the life director, the program director, the membership director. Don't commiserate. I don't know how many times in my sleep I say, God, Supreme's dumb. I've spent most of my adult life banging my head on the brick wall that is the Supreme Council. If you sit around and agree with the Grand Knight how dumb Supreme is, it really makes it hard to accept anything. How dumb the state is. How dumb the program director is. What the heck was the membership director thinking when he said to do this? Everybody's got a better way of doing it from their armchair on Monday morning. So don't commiserate. There are things I'd like to change, and working on it. Hopefully I don't die first. So, that we don't have to necessarily accept blindly what we have, but we also can't spend our time going, man, this is dumb. How come you don't do this? Be accountable, guys. If you said you're gonna do something and all y'all did, or you will tomorrow night, do it. Because he asked you to and you said yes. And because he deserves what you told him you said you'd do. And among the people that you're working with, expect accountability. You told me you'd do this, and I need you to do it. And this is the message we've got to reiterate to our councils, to the officers, to the members. When you do the installation of council officers, there's a place in there, I think, at least there used to be, you promise to give the time and effort necessary to your job. All y'all are going to make that promise tomorrow night too. Amen of prayer, guys. Nights don't pray. We better, or we're in deep trouble. I don't know how many times I've heard, what do you mean we're going to do a whole hour? Nights don't pray. We do pancakes and beer and stuff. Well, we better pray. And we're focusing on it. Not only with Eucharistic adoration, with Eucharistic processions, with holy hours, with novenas. We better pray, and we better pray all the time. And we better bring our guys to pray. Because that's what we need. That's what our church needs. God knows that's what our country needs. And that's what the young guys are looking for with their families. That's what the ethnic Hispanics are looking for. That's what the ethnic groups are looking for. Everybody's looking for faith formation, a way to put their faith into action. That has to be us. But we have to let people know that that's who we are. Embrace continuous improvement. Good enough can't be good enough. We can always do better. That isn't to say we don't take credit when we do well. I know I had an incredible year last year. Y'all did a great job. You did a great job. How can we do better? My region, man, we did good. How can I do better? The order had a really good year. How can we do better? We can't sit back and accept that this is good enough. Be present. Show up at events. You don't have to go to every meeting. You don't have to go to every event. You still have salmon? You don't have to go to every meeting.
They don't meet until September.
No, because they take the summer off.
And then they're all hunting.
Yeah, then hunting's a real thing. So October's out. So now we're down to 8 months left in the year. That's only 8 months to do 12 months worth of stuff. You don't have to go to every event, but man, they have to know who you are. Across the region, I heard we had a district deputy. I ain't never seen one. Show up, they have to know who you are. Give them information that makes you being there valuable. Not, oh God, he's here. Okay, good. Or, sweet. I'm sure he would have said, we're doing a great job, guys. Attend council meetings as many as you can. They have to know who you are. The state's going to give you information. Supreme's going to give you information. How many of y'all are getting the fraternal leadership advisory? Not overwhelmed. Getting better. If you're not getting it, please sign up for it. If you don't have a sign up, come talk to me this weekend. I'll get one forwarded to you. You can sign up. It's got information that's very useful for district deputies, for council officers. Then show it to your guys. It comes out twice a month only, first and third Thursday. We're not going to bomb you with emails. Bless you. Sign up for it. Use the information. Click the links. Yes, sir.
When I took the District Deputy 101 webinar last week, that was one of the first things they talked about. But if I recall, and correct me, there's some identification or officer number that you need to enroll online, or do I just use my regular member number? Because they never touched on that part. They just mentioned it.
Probably your member number. What we can do is we'll sit down this weekend and we'll get you send up.
Okay,
We'll play with it.
thank you.
That's the other fun thing, guys, man. There is so much information on Supreme's website. Go play with it. You can't break it. More. Go see what there. Show your guys. That's part of what we're going to take a look at this weekend, is how easy it is to navigate this. Show your guys how easy it is. I had a regional meeting in Oregon last year, and the financial secretary was there. It was absolutely mad at me. How come only the financial secretary and the Grand Knight can do the candidate tab? Yeah. I have so much other stuff to do. If I can make your job easier, will you take a look at it? Okay. So we went through the officer training that we're going through now. And I got done, he said I can do that. The reason that a lot of this stuff is restricted is because there is an absolute need to protect personally identifiable information. And depending on the lawyer you talk to, man, that's a big definition. So they're very, very careful about where you guys' information ends up. We don't want somebody getting a hold of our, in some places, being Catholic can cost you your job. So,
Yeah, but the reason that we need to get information is some of the reports that the councils turn in, we can't access.
that's why they're supposed to send you a copy.
Well, yeah,
I
they're
know.
supposed to, right.
So now we're back to training, information, communication, inspire, and engage.
Well,
And if that doesn't work, give me a call and we'll find it for you. They give me access to so much stuff. I got a jail captain who would absolutely pop a vein if she knew how much stuff I get into. Because I scared the crap out of her the first week I started. She said, go play on the computer. And about 3 o'clock, we locked it up. Don't play on the computer. Hold your district meetings, guys. The information that you get here is not for you. It's not secret. We've got to get it to the councils. What's the schedule you working on? You want officers present, or you want to be present at the meetings, or you just have guys get them done?
No, I'm there at the meetings. Everybody should be at the meetings.
So if you're a state officer and there's a meeting in your area, then show up. There's lots of councils that a state officer shows up, it makes a difference. It doesn't have to be the state deputy. Show up. On your district meetings, make them interesting. If they're boring, if you're just gonna yell at the Grand Knights for how dumb he is or what they're doing wrong, or man, y'all need to fix this, I wouldn't show up either. Make them interesting, make them useful, make it, one of the things that I always wanted, and I ask afterwards, was this worth the time you invested in me? Did you get enough out of this to pay for the 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on how long I talk, could be a while. And almost always it's yes. Because my goal is to make sure that the time that the people invest in me is worthwhile. Because if it is, they'll come back. If it isn't, I'll never see them again, and I won't see anybody else either. Advise the Grand Knights on how to improve. If you know something that's happening in your district and it's working great, share it. Maybe they'll use it, maybe they won't. District deputies talk to each other. This is a team. This is the state team. It doesn't really work very well if the quarterback has all the plans and he doesn't tell the receivers of the line. He can't throw the ball because they ain't where they're supposed to be, and he gets crushed by the linebacker. So talk to each other. If you've got something cool going on, man, let us know. Share it. Help your councils to find the right talent. If your Grand Knight's picking his membership director because he's his best friend and the guy couldn't sell air conditioners in the desert, dude doesn't need to be the membership director. Find the best guy for the job. Now, in some cases, and I hear this a lot, is the only guy. We can't get anybody. And we need to find other people. We need to talk to people. We need to show them what the job is. And then engage and inspire them to join us. Is that a real problem? Yes, it is. And that's one of the problems that we have to overcome is, and guys don't want anything to do with leadership, because that means that you committed your life to that job. Encourage councils to put the best people in the right positions. May not be your best friend, may not even like the guy, but man, he's good at what he does. Share best practices with your councils within your district, with your brother district deputies. If I hear something that's happened in one of my states, I let the state deputy know, this is what happened and this is what's cool. And then he can choose whether or not to spread it. Go back to basics. Delta church drives, guys, they work. You do them right, they work. Does everyone look exactly the same? No. Ideally, a Delta church drive is bulletin announcements, couple of weeks in advance, pulpit announcement. Before Mass, we hand out prayer cards. We put why join brochures and prospect cards with a pen or pencil in the pews. Then when people come out, they just flock to us. But Father says, I'm the only one who talks from the pulpit, so you're not making a pulpit announcement. Father says, I don't want you giving people stuff before Mass because they don't listen to me. They fill in with the stuff you got. I don't want you putting stuff in the pews because it looks a big mess and nobody cleans it up. So we adjust. Father, we've got a crew of guys whose job it is to go through the last Mass and pick up all of this stuff. We're not going to leave anything in the church. If you would, this is what we would like to emphasize on our pulpit announcement. A lot of times our church drives are 2 or 3 guys standing behind the table talking about golf. They ain't talking to guys. A lot of times when we're recruiting, our recruiting is, would you like to join the Knights? No. Would you like to join the Knights? No. Would you like to join the Knights? No. We ask everybody. Nobody wants to join. Dang. Guess we'll try next year. What do you know about the Knights? What have you heard about the Knights? Would you like to come to one of our projects and see what we do? When you're doing your pulpit announcement, emphasize what you do. People can't wrap their head around $157 million. They can't wrap their head around 48 million hours. What they can wrap their head around is Coats for Kids, Wheelchair Mission, Habitat for Humanity, food baskets. They can wrap their heads around that. That's what we talk about. Membership presence at every event. Somebody whose job it is to talk to the people. The best guy you've got to talk to the people. Don't flip eggs, don't pick up dishes, don't clean tables. He's talking to the people. Talk to the wife. This is a really cool family. Would you like your husband to be a better man, a better Catholic, a better father, and a better husband? Nah, man, he's perfect the way he is. I didn't know we were serving mimosas this morning. That's cool. Tell you, if you get the wife, you got the guy. He's got no choice.
You got the family.
Yeah, because his best excuse is, no, she won't let me. Oh no. Talk about what we do. Man, isn't this a great breakfast? Did you know the Knights of Columbus last year here we gave out 150 coats to kids? I didn't know that. Did you know that we work with Habitat for Humanity, with Special Olympics, with, do you know that we've got a prayer program coming up? Would you like to bring your family and come to our prayer program? Core or Into the Breach or spiritual. One of the projects under the faith community or the faith category is spiritual reflection. Half day or 1 day retreat for the men. Cool, do that in the fall. Sometime in the middle of February, I don't know, around the 14th or so, do a couples retreat. Still counts, guys. Sometime towards spring break, do a family retreat. Still counts, guys. And we're getting our families back into the church, and that's our job, is to get our families to heaven. That's our job. One-on-one recruiting. What's your 30-second elevator speech? What do you know about the Knights of Columbus? You got 30 seconds on an elevator. What are you going to tell a person? Easy answer to start your brain thinking, because everybody vapor locks right there. Wait, we have good stuff. Change lives and save lives. Well, how do you do that? Oh, well, we do Coats for Kids, and Wheelchair Mission, and Special Olympics, and Food for Families, and we put in a ramp for the widow down the way who's in a wheelchair now so she can stay in her house. And what do you do that changes lives and saves lives? Tell them. Create membership opportunities. Guys, have an exemplification in your district every month. Doesn't have to be the same council. How many of your councils, all of your councils have a degree team? We cannot keep relying on the video. The video is okay if a person's on their deathbed and they waited till the last minute to join the Knights, but they always wanted to join it. So you play the video. Any in-person degree we do is better than the video. Anyone we do. You've got 2 guys, do a degree. You got 5 guys, better. You can do an effective degree with 2 guys. You just alternate the speaking parts back and forth. It doesn't take, it takes 35 minutes. Don't have to memorize it, no certification, no weird words. Easiest degree in the world. Have your councils put together a degree team. When the guy comes in, show him you care enough to show up. And that's your plug in the DVD, guys. In an emergency, it works. If you can't get a guy any other way, okay. But man, don't make it your standby. Promoter, supreme, and state incentives. You know what the incentives are? No, it's a secret. It was actually in the fraternal leadership advisory. So if you're getting it, it's available to you. We'll go over it this weekend. Maybe have incentives within your district. One of the best, absolute best, most successful incentives we last year was between Washington and Oregon. One day in January last year, they were exactly tied percentage-wise. And the 2 state deputies got on the phone together and said, before your convention, which is first, whoever's in the lead, the other guy has to wear a Washington or an Oregon jersey at the convention. Oh, that was terrible. They fought tooth and nail. And Washington won by 0.73%, which is like 3 guys. So then at the Oregon convention, they had 3 weeks or a month left to go for the Washington convention. So they did it again. And Washington spotted him, 3 guys. Every single day I got emails from both the Washington membership director and the Oregon going, man, this is where we're at. And we're 2 tons ahead, or we're 2% behind. Or, man, where did you get 7 guys? It was the best, absolute best incentive. And they bought the councils in on it, because then the state deputy said, when you bring in a new member, you get to pick whether they have to wear a Duck or a Beaver jersey. So the Ducks and the Beavers are competing against each other within the state. What kind of competition can we get between U of I, ISU, and BSU? Just use your imagination. Promote online membership, and I don't know who left that in there. If you have a really, really severe emergency, virtual exemplifications. Have your council schedule their degrees, guys, and then work toward the degree. Is Meridian still doing degrees every 3rd Thursday?
Yes.
Every 3rd Thursday for like ever. This is the way we've always done it. Everybody.
The only reason our attendance has gone down is because every other council in the district now has their own team.
Sweet, it's working.
Except for my council.
That's okay. But no, it's not okay, but we're working. Schedule a degree and post it, guys. We were doing the new 3rd degree. We were going up to Sandpoint to do a district meeting. We were going to go up and we got a call from the state deputy that says, Lewiston was going to take a candidate, and they didn't know that the degree was scheduled. We were going to do a 2nd, 3rd degree. And they canceled it, but they didn't tell anybody because it's a secret. So we drove back to my house, and we got the stuff, and we went up to Lewiston. We brought in 1 guy in the old 3rd degree because he was going to be the new Grand Knight of the Council, and that was Richard Beerlock. Have a degree team and bring guys in. Get councils the training they need. We've got tons of stuff available with the Supreme trainers. Regional growth directors, I'll come, we're gonna do road trips, we're gonna do training. The real advantage to having Idaho is that we've got like a quarter of the councils in the state within like an hour-and-a-half drive. If the councils in the Greater Treasure Valley need a training on a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, let me know, man, we'll come over and do it. If you've got I work with 6 time zones on over 2 days, because Guam's 16 hours ahead. There have been a couple of times that I woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning so that I could talk to guys in Guam at 7 o'clock at night when they got off work. We're dedicated to getting the information to our councils and our members. We didn't know cannot be an excuse or a reason anymore, because there just simply isn't, there's just not a reason. If you've got problems or issues, talk to your state team, and they'll let us know. Sometimes the answer is, I don't know, it's always been that way. But there's generally a workaround, and we'll figure a way to get you the stuff you need. Our faith and action programs. Get your councils active in the programs, and they've got to tell people about it, especially our faith programs. It's not just faith, but man, it's got to be faith and. It really does. The little black Viva Jesus books, those are really cool books. I mean, there's a ton of stuff in there.
We have a few back there too.
They're not terribly expensive. So get them to your guys. Eucharistic procession materials. We even made stuff up for the priests, because a lot of priests don't know how to do a Eucharistic procession.
Right.
So talk to Father. Father, how can we support you in this? How can we promote this? How can we participate with you in this? Get the fourth degree involved. Get our guys involved. Get our families out to so many. Last thing I heard, the last statistic I heard is like 32% of Catholics who go to church every week believe in the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist. John, we got an issue. Less than a third of the people who go to church every week. Why are they going to church? Because Mom told me to. I don't know. It goes down from that from the people who go once a month or the C&E Catholics. We've got to get our people back into church, and they have to know why. And the why is the Eucharist. Into the Breach videos. How many of y'all seen those? Those are really good. I think there's a second set coming out. It's a really good way to bring men in, not to join the Knights, to expand their faith. And guess what happens? Oftentimes they join the Knights. Promoter programs. We talked about this a lot. Now, if Father don't know what you do, why would he let you do anything? We got to let Father know what we do, but we also have to be willing to do what Father needs. Treat the Columbian Award as a roadmap to success. How many of you had councils who got the Columbian Award? Not a ton. The Columbian Award is four programs in each of the 4 activities. So oftentimes when the form gets filled out on the last week of June, we're all sitting around going, what did we do this year? I don't know, we were doing a lot of stuff, but I don't know. Have your councils give it to the recorder. Now, a blank form, give it to the recorder. Because he's writing stuff down anyway. So he writes it down on the book, writes it down on the paper. About January, he says, my paper is full. What do I do? Send it in. Nobody, swear to God, nobody will yell if you send it in January. And the advantage to that is if there's a problem, we got 4 months to fix it. I spent an awful lot of time the last 6 weeks fixing Columbian Award application. How come this didn't get accepted? We only have one activity. All the lines got to be full. Well, I don't think we do that. Yeah, you do. All of our councils, all of our councils do enough activities to fill out the Columbian Award by January every year. They simply don't give ourselves credit for what we do. Well, that's not a big enough project. It doesn't really count. It doesn't really matter. Yes, it does. So talk to your councils. The new core program. Idaho was one of the pilot jurisdictions. We had a Zoom meeting last night with a bunch of the original states. What went well? How's it going? What can we fix? In August, they're going to bring in the next group and there's a boatload of states that signed up for phase 2, and they're going to bring in all the regional guys so that we know what it is, so that we can better support it. If your councils aren't involved in court, talk to Pat King.
Is Sean not involved anymore?
Sean is, his wife has got stage 4 cancer.
Okay.
He's had to step back from a lot of stuff.
Okay.
He has everything he can do to maintain his job, his kids, and take care of his wife.
Sure, okay. Yeah, I just didn't know, because I had questions from some of my councils, and I just want to make sure that I'm giving them the right direction of whom to contact.
Pat King.
And, man, guys, we gotta pray for Sean Burlow.
Indeed.
Thank you. Shauna D. Burlow. So include them in your prayers. National Eucharistic Revival. Next year, I think in July or August in Indianapolis. Man, it's gonna be cool. That's gonna be the culmination of the 3 years. We started this in 2022. So that people realize what the Eucharist is, because our guys don't know. The C&Es don't know. A lot of our families don't know. The young guys don't know. There's a ton of information that's available on it. A movement a movement of Catholics across the United States, healed, converted, formed, and unified by an encounter with Jesus in the Eucharist, and sent out in mission for the life of the world. Man, that's a big mission statement, guys. That's who we are, and that's what we do every day. Strong programs lead to engaged members. Our programs are what attract people. Our programs are what keep people. We've got to change the culture of we do these things because that's what we've always done. Because if you got somebody who comes in and goes, man, I'd like to do it now. We tried that once. When? Either Truman or Eisenhower, one of them was president. I don't know. But it was terrible. It didn't work. Let guys do it. Let guys expand their wings. Let guys take a leadership position. Try something new. If it fails, then you still did it. And that's okay. Engaged members are satisfied members. The people that we're losing is because they didn't find what they were looking for in the nights. Perhaps we didn't ask them. Perhaps they didn't tell us. For me, the reason I was in the nights has changed over the years. When I was 18, I joined because my dad told me to. And they had beer. There's huge value at 18. By my mid-20s, I got little kids. I need faith formation. By my late 30s, I got teenagers. I need family programs and beer. By my mid-50s, the kids are gone, and my wife are going, you and I are what? Because we spent all of our adult life raising our kids, and our life is really orbited around the activities of the kids. And now we've got to figure out who we are and what we do. Now, when I truly retire, if I do, I don't know what that means. I got to have a reason to get up in the morning. And guys can go back and forth within those different cycles during their life. We have to know where they're at. That means we got to talk to our guys. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Satisfied members are less likely to defect. If they find what they're looking for, they're not going someplace else. How many of you lost members to non-affiliated men's prayer groups in the parish? Lots of guys lots of councils are losing guys to, no, we just want to pray. We're looking to build our faith, and knights don't pray. Satisfied members become advocates, and they'll recruit new members. Man, I found the greatest thing. If you see a good movie, do you tell your friends about it? If you go to a good restaurant, do you tell your friends about it? If we have good programs, they'll tell their friends about it, and they'll come to see who we are and what we do. If we give men what they want, we'll never have a retention problem. How do we know what we want, what they want? We've got to talk to them. How often do we talk to our guys? By mail twice a year, and by phone maybe once a year. First billing notice, second billing notice, you owe us $20. For what? Dues. For what? The nights. I didn't know I was still a knight. Yeah, you are. How'd that happen? Well, the council sent the billing notice to the house, and the wife opened it up. She paid it, sent it back to the financial secretary, who sent the card to the wife, and she opened up, and she put it on his desk on the corner, that if he looked in the corner, he would see it, but it's under the pile of all the other stuff that if he looked at it, he'd see it with the other 10 membership cards he has in there, because we don't talk to our guys. We've got to talk to our guys and invite them, engage them, inspire them to join us. Used to have a questionnaire, it's still available someplace. What are you interested in? The guy's interested in faith formation and we put him washing dishes at the fish fry. Is he gonna come back? No. Give them every chance to get what they're looking for. Again, we gotta talk to them. We gotta give them the opportunity to succeed or fail. And either one's okay because we did it. And then we learn and we grow and we move on. Make sure councils are welcoming to new members. How often did you, especially with the old degree, guy came in, got his first degree, everybody bought a drink, came back to the second meeting, nobody talked to him. Come back to, no, he didn't come back to the third meeting. And we lost him before we ever had him. Because we don't engage our new members. We don't welcome them. We don't make a big deal out of them. Every guy we have is a big deal because that could be our next program chairman, our next great idea, our next inspiring story, our next district deputy, district warden, state officer, state director, chairman. Get you guys involved fast. How many of y'all heard of the Shining Armor Award? All the guys that have been around 25 years. The purpose of that, Supreme came out with it about 2005. New guy comes in, he's got a year to attend 3 business meetings, 3 projects, take a second and third degree, talk to the field agent, doesn't have to buy nothing, don't say that, that's rude, because it cuts the knees out of the field agent. Got to talk to the field agent. We have great programs. We have great products. And they have to recruit a guy. Now, if the guy does 3 business meetings, 3 projects, recruits a guy, takes a second and third degree, and buys insurance, how likely is he to stay? Quite likely, because we got him involved. Council should conduct member surveys. That gets back to talking to your guys. We'll talk about that when we do officer responsibilities with my idea of the retention committee. Guys, help your councils to get credit for what they do and to tell their story. I've heard, I don't know, for maybe 40 years. We're not doing it for the award. Okay, well, we'll give you an award. He can make sure you don't get an award. You still got to turn the report in. You still got to tell me what you do. The project ain't done until the report's written. We've got to know what we're doing because some of the projects your councils are doing could be the greatest thing nobody's ever heard of. Because it's a secret in their council and they're the only ones who know about it. So turn in your reports. Get the credit they deserve. We had a great big wall in Nampas Council, and Caldwell's district or Caldwell's new Grand Knight came over for exemplification. He stood there looking at the wall, and he said, "That's what I want for my council." And he turned Caldwell around. That was Darwin Schweitzer. Did just an incredible job because it inspired him to, now we can do better than what we're doing. And it's not about bragging. It's we don't blow our own horn. If you don't, who's going to? We had a judge candidate that was asked by a senator, are you going to recuse yourself from any of these decisions because you're a Knight of Columbus? We got people that ain't blowing our horns, guys. If we don't, who's going to? It's about inspiring other people to see what we do. And Christ told us to do that. He told us in the Gospels, if you have a light, you don't put it under a bushel basket. You put it up on a lampstand so that others see what you do and give glory to God. It's not for us, because what we do is by the glory of God. Every council should have a star council. They simply should have a star council. All of our councils are doing enough. The hang up is sometimes membership. Cottonwood's got a real issue because there's like 140 families and 189 members. There ain't a lot of people left. 70 years ago, there were 8, 10, 12 farms who had 8, 10, 12 kids, half of whom were boys, all of whom joined the Knights. Man, they grew big. Now they've got 1, 2, 3 farms with 1, 2, 3 kids, some of whom might be boys, might even be Catholic. Probably don't join the Knights. So about every 4 or 5 years, Cottonwood comes up with a star because either a class graduates or somebody broke down in town and said, yeah, we'll fix your car, but you got to join the Knights. Well, I'm not Catholic. I got a guy for that. So not everybody's going to make it, but that's gotta be in our mindset. April the 1st of every single year, 32 teams in the major league say this year we go to the World Series, even the Cubs.
Really?
And every year, man, and they show up every day and they practice and they hit and they play their guts out. And 8 of them get to the playoffs and 2 of them get to the World Series and only 1 wins. And next April, this year we're gonna get to the World Series. It's a mindset. Our councils have to have the same mindset. If you don't believe, if you don't have a goal of, I'm going to be a star council, you will guarantee not to hit your goal. Safe environment training. Guys, we're 7 or 8 years into safe environment training. There is no longer an excuse for guys who won't take it. There just simply isn't. Go to the library and sign up for it. There's computers available. It takes an hour and a half, maybe. They've got a new system. Somebody in their infinite wisdom decided to change it in May. I still don't know. I don't know. That's probably a good idea someplace. Get your guys safe environment compliant. One of my states, their council was working and their council was moving and they wanted star council, and the Grand Knight said, I'm not taking safe environment. Thank you for your service. You're a Grand Knight. Now, Supreme isn't firing anybody. State's not firing anybody. It's not a usual practice, but guys, we got to get our guys inspired and engaged. Why is safe environment important? And I'm going to hit this a couple more times.
Protect yourself.
Protect yourself. Protect our kids. Protect the council. How many of you watch late night TV and you see ads of, if you've ever been at a Mormon church, or had a doctor, or had a coach, or had a teacher, or had a call this lawyer? Man, we cannot have, if you ever went to Council 1, 2, 3, 4's event, call this lawyer. But it also protects our guys. How does it protect our guys? What if you've got a guy we got a kid, you do the basketball free throw. You got a kid who comes in, he's got his Kobe Bryant jersey on, he's got his Air Jordans on, man, he's gonna tear it up, and a 12-year-old girl wipes the floor with him, and he's mad. And he doesn't want anybody to see him cry, and he's sitting on the bleachers. So one of our guys, being kind person he is, going to go over and talk to the kid, and somebody who doesn't have anything better to do goes, what's that guy do with the kid? Safe environment tells us how to protect our guy from that person, because that person ain't got nothing better to do than throw rocks at us. And what's the answer to it? Take somebody with you. That's simple. You can still do the good work. You just don't be alone with the kid. Safe environment teaches us that. It's important. It's not because we doubt our guys. It's not because we're throwing rocks. If you think you got guys say, I don't want my social security number on the internet. Got news for you guys. Social security number's on the internet. So is your birthday, your mother's maiden name, your first dog's name, the first car you had, the song that was number 1 on your birthday when you were born, because everybody fills out the Facebook surveys because they dumb. It's all out there. Have you ever tried to get information from Supreme? Have you been successful? We don't give nobody nothing. Your information is safer with us than it's going to be any place else you give it to, like your doctor's office, lawyers, because if their mouths are moving, they're lying. Do we have any lawyers? Facebook, Starbucks app. Get our guys safe environment compliant. It's important. It's easy. I did it in a hotel room on a Saturday afternoon to a football game, not because I had to, but I can't ask people to do something I won't do. Took an hour and a half. It ain't hard. We really got to get guys in. Yes, sir.
So something else that we should push is, in addition to just the 4 required people that need to be safe environment compliant, push your members towards the blue
Absolutely,
box.
yes.
Because anybody can take the safe environment training and they give you all the codes and everything right there.
Yeah.
And it's important that everybody have that chance or have that opportunity to learn.
Because it's hot.
So
let's see what I got left for slides. I got 3 more slides. I'll stop talking right now.
So yeah, so it's important that everybody get that opportunity to learn.
How do you guys take it, guys?
Even if you're not one of the
Especially if
required.
you're not required. Take it. Protect yourself. Protect your kids. Protect your grandkids. Protect the council. Protect the order. protect the church. Why do I have to take it? Because, and the church, the diocese makes me take it too. Yep, Boy Scouts do too. So does everybody else. One word, lawyers. Because everybody has their risk management team that says this is what we need to best protect ourselves. And the diocese and the Knights of Columbus are prohibited by law from sharing background check information. So it doesn't do any good you gave it to the diocese because they can't tell us it's a secret. I got a guy in Washington who's a volunteer AAU swim coach. He has to pay for his own training every year and his own background check just to volunteer as a swim coach. We're paying for it, guys. All you gotta do is show up. Oh, that completes you. Get your forms in early. Get them in early. The fraternal surveys, guys should be already working on them. My council for a lot of years had a paper up front. What stuff did you do this month? Because man, nobody remembers dinner last night, much less what we did in July when we're trying to think about it on June 29th. What's that?
All these forms. well,
SB 7 is the Columbian Award application. That's the four activities in each category.
Program
It's done. The 1728, your fraternal survey, it's due before January 31st. And that's the hours and dollars that your council gives. Guys, it's practically impossible to overestimate the number of hours councils give. And guys are so afraid of, man, somebody's not gonna think that's important enough and it won't count. Put your hours down, guys, they're important. Evaluation form, DD2, or DD214. Yeah, DD944. Guys, get it in before September the 15th. Well, my councils all take the summer off and they're not gonna be there. Then no, put down what you know. Get it in. This year they gave us an extension and then they gave us an extension again. Next year they will not give us an extension. If you have any aspirations at all at Star District, and I know you do, get the thing in. One for every council. Don't combine them all into one because the people back in New Haven go one email, one form, one email, one form. Separate email for each form so that we don't have to clean up the mess. It's important. Get them in. They take 3 or 4 minutes, maybe. They're easy, guys. Fraternal benefit events. Fraternal benefit events are important. Our fraternal benefit guys provide an incredible service to us. We have great products. We've got to get the information and we've got to get our guys to show up. We'll talk about those later. 10784, how many of your councils use them after every event? All your councils? Your council does.
My council does, and Nampa does for sure.
Yeah. Who does it in your council?
Right now, my council is the financial secretary.
Huh. Who should be doing it?
Very nice.
No.
Program.
Program chairman of, or the chairman of that event. Spread it around. It's not the financial secretary's job, guys. It's the guy who was in charge of the event. The event ain't done till the report's done. Fraternal leadership advisors, we talked about them. If you're not getting it, get with me. We'll get you signed up. They've got really good information. Click the links. There's tons of good information there that will make your job easier, make your interactions with your councils easier. Make it a priority to attend the webinars. They're much better than they used to be. Are they perfect all the time? No. Do we still have one specific individual who's obsessed with the stuff on his bookshelf? Yes. But they've got good information, guys. My thought was, if you're that worried, cover it up or go from a different place. You're telling me.
Oh, and the fraternal benefit events are now submitted by Grand Knights instead of having to go through the general agent.
Yep.
That's something new.
Yep. We'll get to that. Go to the webinars, guys. There's good information there. The guys at Supreme are putting out good product. There's stuff you can learn. They take an hour. Well, I can't do it at 7 o'clock on Thursday. Sign up for it. When can you do it? Anytime. I got an hour at 3 a.m. You'll get a link. You can do it then, because I have. Have your guys sign up and look at them. They truly are valuable. Promote them to your council officers, not just the Grand Knight, not the financial secretary. Get your guys on them. Somebody who thinks they might be interested, maybe someday in being an officer, get them on the webinars. Why is it important to recruit? We've got to give people the reason why, and why now? If you don't have an answer to those questions, by the end of this weekend, we'll ask them again. Why is it important to recruit? Why is it important to recruit now? Have a written district plan. If it ain't written down, it ain't important. And if it ain't written down, it's awful hard to be accountable to it, even if it's to yourself. Ensure that all the councils have plans, ideally written, and work them. Use the financial planners. You guys should have gotten one or will get one. The councils will get 2 of them. There's more available on the Supreme side. Have them write their stuff down. Instill a culture of reliability or of accountability. You said you were going to do it. You gave us your promise. We need you to do it. It's important. Ensure the councils build strong relationships with their pastors. Father doesn't like us. Then fix that, because the responsibility lies with us, not with Supreme, or not with Supreme either. Not with the pastor. It's our responsibility to have a relationship. He has to know who we are and what we do. Have a relationship with field agents. Forever, as long as I've been in the Knights, we've had issues with field agents. We ain't got enough of them. They don't show up at the meetings. They do show up at the meetings and they talk. They don't show up at the meetings and they still talk. We have great products. Promote your field agents. Because if a guy joins, pays his dues, and buys insurance and doesn't do another thing, he is a great knight. He truly is. Schedule fraternal benefit events, 2 of them per year. We'll talk more about Supreme State and District incentives. Any questions, guys?
I have one.
Sure.
Okay, you said how councils do member surveys somewhere in there.
Mhm.
I'm not sure that, I know Supreme tried to do some member surveys.
When we do the officer training, I'll show you where that can be done at,
Okay, good.
as part of the council.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, guys? Then we're taking a break.
A break, 5 minutes. Unless you need more. Folios that you got, you're newly appointed. You have note paper on the one side, and you got these 10 forms, where they were supposed to be 10 different ones, but the copying center made a couple of mistakes. That's okay. So if you wanted to take notes, active listening, Chuck's going, giving you a lot of information. I see some, Bruce came with his own. Okay, so Chuck, you can start whenever you want. My wife's gonna bring down the stuff pretty soon, and, everybody that hasn't had their district picture taken, there's a background right there, and Joe Dunn will be taking pictures for the people who are newly appointed or haven't had their picture taken for the website yet.
What did you?
Yeah, you too. Mr. District Warden.
I can Photoshop some sleeves on it.
Somebody got locked.
You gotta leave it open. Leave it open.
The super secret stuff.
George?
Yeah.
Kids playing pool over there.
I know, but it's so, it may be moving.
What if we open that door over there?
Yeah, let's open that door.
There was. Oh, yeah.
They'll let the flies
No, I'm not.
Try this. I'm not a solution. Oh, it's hot out here. Never mind. It's hotter out there than it is in here. by a lot.
We got about 40 minutes because hospitality is supposed to start at 9 and I'm supposed to be in Alaska at 9. So I'm gonna start, we can either close it or leave it open, whatever works for the
You know
door.
what? If you want to, you can finish tomorrow.
Now, listen, I'm just, because part of what I want to hit on is the admissions committee. A lot of this I'm gonna go over very quickly. All y'all know this, but we're just gonna go over it very, very quickly so that, if there's any questions, you can let me know. Where's the basic structure? I'm not gonna go over because we already know it. The key points of this is, we need to change this. Patrick Kelly can't do everything by himself. Doesn't even try. Got a whole bunch of people helping him. State deputy can't do everything himself. He tries. Tried. Can't do it yourself. You guys can't do it yourself. Don't do it. Grand Knights can't do it themselves. State deputies got his state officers and directors. Y'all have a great team in Idaho. We have a great team in Idaho. Use them. Use their knowledge. Use their information. District deputies have a district warden. We talked about that. Teach the guy your job and then mentor him when you retire. Corey, if you ever get to 8 years, because they're like 6 now.
8 years.
8 years. 8 years. Mentor him. Teach him how to do it. Introduce him to the guys. Help to shape him as he's growing. Grand Knights have their council officers and directors. Y'all know the elected positions in the council. The appointed position, chaplain, financial secretary, lecturer, program and membership director. Yes, sir.
Look, I'll tell you, you're talking about mentorships.
Yes, sir.
Is Supreme looking at doing a mentorship for financial secretary as a deputy financial secretary? Have you heard of that?
Not that I've heard of. Not that I've heard of. Because they're still absolutely fanatic about information. So they won't even give district deputies training access to member management for their councils. So to have another guy who can get in there and play.
We have a financial secretary trainer in the state.
Daryl Stasky.
Daryl Stasky. Daryl and Chuck Davlin did an awesome job. I take that PowerPoint and I basically learned the financial secretary job from that PowerPoint and a couple phone calls to Daryl.
I got hired by Supreme as a trainer on the 19th of April. Went to California on my first trip. Everybody we talked to, we need council officer training, financial secretary training. So I came back home, called our financial secretary trainer from, where was he, St. Mark's? It was before Daryl.
Yeah, it was Dan Hayne.
Dan Hayne. And he came over to my house, logged in, got into the training order. We started playing with financial secretary, and I'm playing with it. And I said, "What's this button do?" "Oh, I never hit that button." "Oh, dude, we gotta hit that button." And so I go in and play with it. And I know enough about financial secretary that I can help guys. I can do the easy part, and we'll play with the rest of it. Program director, membership director, two very important director positions.
But do be careful in financial secretary because you can break things.
Not in training.
Oh, if you're in training, it's okay, but just be
I don't
careful
go in,
with
they don't let me have live. They
Live.
crazy. They crazy, but they ain't that crazy. Chaplain has to be the priest. Almost every Supreme Convention I've gone to, there's a resolution to make deacons, the permanent deacons, the chaplain. Supreme's position is the ordination to the priesthood is special beyond that of deacon. However, our priests are very, very busy. So if he assigns the deacon to bring his message, that works really well. But the chaplain has to be a priest on the form. Grand Knight's the top officer of the council, is responsible for overall growth and welfare. Notice that doesn't say membership, it's growth. Growth is membership, growth is program, growth is fraternal benefits. He defines the mission and the vision, but he should not do it by himself. I would suggest the Grand Knight Deputy, Grand Knight Chancellor, and Warden get together and decide what's our 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan. Why those 4 guys? All things being equal, that's the next 4 Grand Knights. If we have a common goal everybody's working toward, we're not going to be wandering off every time we get a new Grand Knight. We can make changes, we can make adjustments as conditions, but we've got the same basic goal. Responsible for council ceremonials, has to take safe environment training. We did safe environment a lot, may hit it again a little bit later. It's important, guys. Deputy Grand Knight assists the Grand Knight in his duties. Training position for Grand Knight, typically he's the program director of the retention chair. Why is he the program chair? Because then he knows all the programs when he's supposed to be running them next year. Chancellor's third in line encourages members to take an active role, not just the guys at the meeting, everybody in the council. Also training position. He should be the general or the council's liaison for the parish priest and for the seminarians. In my council, the chancellor for many years had one job. Chancellor's report on vocation. Worthy Grand Knight, no report. I got to rest. We need to be talking to our priests and our seminarians. Now, the Grand Knight should make the contact with the priest. Should make the contact with the priest, but he can't do everything. So the chancellor is a good liaison with the parish priest. One voice, guys. There ain't nothing that'll screw a council up with a priest faster than have 2 or 3 guys coming in with different messages, lots of noise, especially if they're throwing their weight around that they ain't got, but they're pretty sure they do. One voice from the council to the parish. And sometimes the parish isn't just the priest. The gatekeepers can be worse than the priest. I've heard of parish staff that says, Father's here for 7 years, I'm here forever. So we cannot discount the gatekeepers. He should be the chairman of the welcoming committee, the admissions committee, sick and distressed. How many of your councils use an actual True for Life admissions committee? Everybody know what an actual True for Life admissions committee is? That's where you meet with the guy and you find out, why are you joining the Knights? What are you looking for? What do you want to do? What ideas do you have? Because if you've got a guy who comes in, we had several guys in my council who were absolutely fanatic recruiters, and he decided you needed to be a Knight, called you at home, called you at church, met you at the grocery store, met guys say, here's my $20, make him leave me alone. Guys, he doesn't want to be a Knight, don't bring him in. Why? Because next year we got to suspend him. You don't want to be a Knight. Financial secretaries hate us when we do that. Don't do that. Missions Committee protects you from that. When you're ready to be a Knight, please let us know. We'll make sure he leaves you alone. Guy comes in with unrealistic expectations. What do you want to do in the Knights of Columbus? Man, I want to climb Mount Everest. We're in Idaho. Mount Horror work? Nope. Mount Everest. We don't do Mount Everest. Don't bring the guy in because he's not going to find what he's looking for. We have to suspend him. Financial secretaries hate us. Doesn't do us any good. Guy comes in and he says, I want to do faith activities and family activities. We do that. Do you have any ideas? Stuff we're missing? Places we can be that we're not? So the end of the admissions committee, somebody is actually going nuts here. Okay, good. So then does the admissions committee a couple of nights later, family director calls him up, says, I understand you're going to be a Knight. That's cool. We got an event coming up. Bring your family down. Come see who we are. He hasn't even joined yet. He's being asked to do the things he told us he wants to do. How likely is he to stay? A couple of nights later, the faith director called him up. We've got a spiritual reflection coming in a couple of weeks. Why don't you plan, bring your family, bring your kids down, or you come down, meet the guys, see what we do. The admissions committee gives us that information. That's one of our member surveys that we use. We talk to our new guys coming in. Recorder's responsible to keep an accurate record of council responsibilities. As I suggested tonight, give him the SB7, the Columbia Award application now. Have him fill it out. Spread the work around. Handles council communication as directed by the Grand Knight. We don't do a lot of letter writing anymore, so he doesn't have a ton of jobs in that. Financial secretary is unique among the council officers because he's appointed by the Supreme Knight on the recommendation of the Grand Knight and the trustees. He's appointed for a 3-year term. That's why we send all this stuff to the financial secretary, because dude's there forever. We know who he is. He doesn't change July 1st. Keeps a record of all members, transactions. Cannot have any duties on the retention committee. Once he sends out the second notice, he's done. Prepares the bills, vouchers, should do the supply ordering to the council. So we only have one guy doing it, otherwise you end up with duplicates. A lot of the stuff isn't expensive, but shipping is stupid expensive. Order one sheet of paper from Web Mason, costs you $12.76 for shipping. Swear to goodness. Silly.
And the form was free.
And the form is free, yeah. Treasurer maintains a record of the council bank accounts, is responsible for depositing the monies, pays all the council bills and expenses as instructed by a voucher. Financial secretary, the treasurer bonded for $5,000, only if you fill out your audits. Semi-annual audits have got to be done twice a year. If you miss 2 in a row, your council loses the bonding of your financial officer. Some councils' financials, $5,000 ain't this week's pancake money. Some councils, that's all they got and then some. It doesn't happen very often, but we have had occasions where we had financial officers who got into the funds. It's a simple protection. All you got to do is turn in your audit. Who does the audits? We'll talk about that in a second. It's a trick question. Trustees. And?
Grand Night. And
With the help of the financial secretary and the treasurer.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. It's a trick question. Money coming in. Financial secretary gets all the money. He turns it over to the treasurer, who gives him a receipt. Signs the receipt. Financial secretary has a copy. Treasurer has a copy. Treasurer deposits the money, takes his deposit slip, his copy of the receipt, attaches them together, completed transaction. Makes the audit very, very simple. You don't have to try to figure out where's the deposit that goes with this receipt. Money going out. Financial secretary. Oh, this is if you're using member billing. Records the receipts in member billing, prints out a receipt, gives both of them to the treasurer. Treasurer signs them. Financial secretary keeps one. Treasurer keeps one. Deposits the money. Same thing. Attach the deposit slip with the receipt of the money. Completed transaction. Money going out. Financial secretary gets the bills. Trustees review the bills. They do what? Yeah, they actually have a job. They're supposed to make sure that the bills that are being paid are the council's. When we had our bingo, there were lots of times that we got stuff addressed to the council that was giving hands. Wasn't ours, but had our name on it, so we paid it because, well, we're done. Now we're doing it right. That's part of the problem. That's why we don't have bingo anymore. Council reads the bills at the meeting. Payments voted on by the council. What's a way around some of this? How many of your councils have a budget? If you budget these items beforehand, you don't have to vote on every single one of them at every meeting. Make your meetings faster. People hate us less sometimes they show up. We love them. Financial secretary prepares a voucher. Him and the Grand Knight sign the voucher. They give it to the treasurer, who writes a check and he pays the bills. Then he takes a copy of the voucher, copy of the check stub, copy of the bills, attaches them together, makes the audit very, very simple because you have a completed transaction. Advocate's the legal representative of the council. He doesn't have to be a lawyer, but he does have to know Robert's Rules of Order, Supreme bylaws, state bylaws. Helps the Grand Knight to maintain decorum at the meeting. Because we all have meetings where you've got the 2 guys who have nothing better to do. What they live for, what they love at meetings is, are we going to round up to 20 or down to 15? Because that $2.50 makes a difference. And they will argue for an hour and a half about why we need to do one or the other. There's a reason the Grand Knight has a gavel. 1, use it to quiet everybody down. 2, if that doesn't work, throw it at it. The advocate can help to maintain the decorum. Our meetings need to move quickly so that people will show up. Because if they're long and drawn out and boring, they're going to show up. The warden ensures that all attendees at a business meeting are in possession of a membership card. Secures all the property, especially degree items. With the new degree, that's very simple. Again, if your councils don't have degree teams, please guys, get degree teams started. Prepares the room for all meetings and supervises the guards. Inside the outside guards are the welcoming committee. And they're stationed at the entrance. They verify the validity of membership cards for business meetings and degrees. How are they the welcoming committee? If guy's been the inside guard for 10 years, and he's got some guy shows up who has one of our membership cards, and he don't know who he is, tell the Grand Knight. Now we got Joe here, and I don't know Joe, but he's got one of our cards. So during the meeting, the guy can say, man, I'm so glad you showed up. We haven't seen you for so long. Thank you very much for coming. How much more likely is he to come back because somebody paid attention, he was there. The guards have an important job other than standing there looking pretty. Also, validity of membership cards. With online membership, person signs up, they get a membership card. And you could have a person shows up whose name is Kim Washburn. And it could be the immediate past state deputy Washington, or it could be Kimberly, a 17-year-old Presbyterian girl who had nothing better to do on a Friday night, so she joined the Knights of Columbus. So you take the card, thank you very much, turn it into membership records so that they can notify the membership. Just because a person signed up online doesn't mean they're male, Catholic, or over 18. Inside guards protect against that. Board of Trustees, responsible for the health and financial condition of the council. My understanding of the trustees was they're supposed to sit in the back of the room and make fun of the Grand Knight on the stuff he's doing wrong because they never told him how to do the job. But nope, turns out they have an actual job. They need to make sure that first of all, they need to audit the records. The final answer to the question, financial secretaries, Grand Knight, or the trustees, the Grand Knight, and the district deputy. When your councils are doing the audit, make sure they invite you, because part of your job is to make sure that the councils are doing their books correctly. You can either do it yourself on a separate occasion wherein everybody hates you and throws rocks, or you can show up when they're doing it and kill two birds with one stone. And it's important that they do it properly. I've been in councils, been part of councils, seen councils where the financial secretary came in and said, audit's done, need signatures. And the trustees come up, where do I sign? Same place you did 6 months ago. It didn't change. Come on, dude. It needs to be a proper audit, not because we don't trust them, but because every business in the world audits their own books. We simply have to make sure that we're doing things right. Monitors and reviews all council expenditures and serves on the retention committee. Now we get to my other preaching point. I have lots of them. Retention committee. How many councils actually have one? You have to. You have to have a membership or a retention chairman in order for your 365 to count. That's your service program personnel report. Retention committee should be made up of the deputy Grand Knight, the 3 trustees, and 1 guy for every 10 members of the council. How often do our retention committees meet? Once in March. What do? Call up people and extort them for $20. And that's the only communication we have with their councils. What should they be doing? Starting the 1st of July. We're already like 7 days late. Take your 10 guys and 2 or 3 times a year, call them up. How are you doing? Do you need anything? We have a meeting coming up. We have an event coming up. Talk toward, what are you interested in? What are you looking for from the Knights? And if they tell you to be out of my life, cool, process them and withdraw and go on. We've got to engage our guys. That means we have to talk to them. That's the second survey of memberships. We talk to our guys. Retention committee can do that very easy. Who's good candidates for that? The guys who have been so very active in our councils for so long that they can't drive at night. They can't get out for the projects anymore. But man, they can talk on the phone. And then they write down the information and you give it to the financial secretary and the Grand Knight so we know, and the program director, so that we know what guys are interested in. So if a guy tells us, man, I am really into pro-life stuff, cool, you're on the life committee. We'll let you know what our next meeting is. So we're letting guys do the things they tell us we want to do. Well, the only way they're going to tell us is if we ask them. And we have to ask them frequently and we have to ask them regularly. We have to care enough about them to know that they're alive. We had a guy on my council who passed away, and the Grand Knight said, I'm not even sure this guy is a knight. I've never heard of him. At one point in 1973, he was the state treasurer. For many, many years, he was extraordinarily active, and then he got old, and he got sick, and nobody knew him when he died. We've got to be talking to our guys. How many of your councils have guys on the roster who died 2 years ago? And we're still
this year.
and we're still sending them dues notices. Now, how does that go over on the home front? Well.
It was ugly.
So retention committee is a very valuable tool that councils don't take advantage of. It really can change the culture of the council. The lecture provides inspiration or entertainment for members at the end of the meeting. Our lecturer for many years got on the Franciscan media and did Saint of the Day, printed out the write-up of the Saint of the Day and read it. So over the course of 2 or 3 years, man, we learned a ton about saints maybe we heard of, maybe we didn't hear of. Also reports on the good of the order. How many people know why the Grand Knight has an anchor on his medal of office and the Deputy Grand Knight has a sun?
Because if you tied to an anchor and it sinks, you're dead.
Not really, but okay. Now you completely threw me off. If we don't tell people why we do things, they're not gonna show up. The symbolism that we have is really important. But almost nobody knows about it. Now, this book is getting harder to find, but it goes through and talks about what's the purpose of the anchor, the quills, the sunburst, all of those things. One thing to change is they're not jewels of office. According to the Supreme Knight, women wear jewels, men wear medals. They're medals of office. Easy way to remember it. So when new guys come in, teach them this. When the old guys come back, teach them this, because they don't know it either. Yes, sir. It needs that. The anchor is indicative of Columbus the mariner. The anchor has been a variant of the cross for centuries. That's the meaning of the anchor. Good stuff.
Well, really, in the second reading, there's the cross upside down.
Right.
Upside down.
Yep. Yeah, they got the two covenants God made with man, one temporal and one eternal. So, but there's a reason that our medals of office are what they are. But we don't tell anybody because, well, we don't know. And it's a secret. So we talked about the two very important director positions, program director, membership director. I contend that the Grand Knight should not be up at a meeting on a Wednesday night going to the 8 guys who were at the meeting. Who's going to be at the Right to Life breakfast on Sunday? All 8 of you, because y'all 8 show up. Who should be doing the Right to Life breakfast on Sunday? The Life Committee. Who's on the Life Committee? Life Director and all the guys who told us at the Admission Committee and Retention Committee they're interested in life programs. They should be planning it. They should be staffing it. Anybody else can help. But the guys who said they want to do it should be the ones doing it. He's got his 4 main directors. There's lots of other directors, but those 4 main ones are critical because we need 4 activities. Each of those directors should sit down with their committee 2 weeks ago and come up with our 4 projects we're going to do this year. Why 4? Because that's what it takes for the Columbian Award. Where are we going to put it? On the calendar so that we've got it publicized. Then we get it in front of the council. They approve it. Now we've got a budget. Now we can operate, and it's got spread out so that the Grand Knight ain't doing everything, and neither is 4 or 5 guys who show up at the meeting. Membership director, critically important, should be the guy who's the best recruiter, but not just the guy who signs people up. I've never been a fan of paper knights or paper councils. If we have to now we've got some great knights who were badgered in. We've got some really good knights who've been badgered in. That's not the norm. We need to inspire and engage guys to be brought in. He's in charge of the recruitment committee, admissions committee, retention committee, insurance promotion. We talked about all of those. Insurance promotion, again, very critical. I've been in councils where the Grand Knight said, cool, better the insurance guy ain't here. We don't have to listen to him. There's a terrible message from the chair about what we do. I've been in state meetings where the state deputy invited the general agent to come in. And when he gets up, he says, you've got 5 minutes. Don't cut the guy's legs out from under him. He feeds his family by serving our families. Take care of your fraternal benefit, guys, so they'll take care of you. We've had a Grand Knight. When we get done with the degree, talk about the Shining Arbor program. You did the same thing I did earlier. You got to meet with the insurance guy. Don't have to buy anything. Don't cut his legs out. Let the guy do his job, which is selling protection for the families of our members. Don't cut their legs out. Don't let your councils do that. Service programs, directors need a sustainable balance of programs and events that are of interest to all of our members. How do we know what's of interest to our members? We gotta talk to them. If we don't talk to them, we don't know what interests them. Big Circle comes together. Interesting and effective program creates pride in the council, whether it's plaques on the wall, individual awards. One of my state deputies last year, when he was Grand Knight, was a double star recipient. When he showed up at state deputy meetings, the other state deputies went, "Ooh, that's cool, I ain't going to them." The star council is important. Star councils are the best of the best. Our councils are the best of the best. They should be star councils. They will attract men and their families, and they will retain members, because if we're giving people what they're looking for, they will stay with us. They will come to our programs, they'll stay members, and they'll bring new people in. Membership team's responsible for overall growth and retention. We've got to keep the guys we got. If we're losing more guys out the back door, we're bringing in the front door. Guys, we're going to be dead councils. We need to do church drives. Does that mean you got to stand at the back of the church? No, a church drive can be at the parish picnic. A church drive can be at a fish fry. Church drive can be at whatever y'all are doing. Get guys talking to guys about the nights, and do church drives. Let the parish know what you're doing. How many of your councils do family of the month regularly? Nobody better raise their hand except maybe Twin Falls. Because I've seen reports for years, and there ain't very many councils in the state that are turning in family of the month to Supreme, not just doing it in their own council. Do the family of the month, guys. It's the easiest thing. It's the second easiest form of the order to fill out. The only easier one is the 4th degree civic award, which nobody fills out either. And you recognize a family, and then you talk to Father. We like to bring them up and recognize them. The Knights of Columbus like to recognize this family as a great family. There's wives in the audience who go, "Well, they do that. I want to do that." Yes, sir.
And Supreme recognizes the Knights, the family of the month also.
Part 2. When you turn the forms in, which you do by the 15th of the month following, so like for July, if they turn a form in before the 15th of July for the June family of the month. Supreme does a random drawing of 100 Holy Family icons, which they then send to the 100 winners. So you get to bring the family. Supreme has noted that this is an outstanding Knights family. Does the family of the month have to be a Knight of Columbus family? No. Does the family of the year have to be a Knight of Columbus family?
Yes.
Yes, they do. But family of the month is a great recruiting tool. It's so very simple to do. How many councils are doing sacramental gifts? Who knows what sacramental gifts are? Communion and convention and the confession? No.
Confirmation.
Confirmation's one of them. Every child that gets baptized in our parish should get a gift from the Knights of Columbus. Little bitty thing, doesn't have to be anything big. Every child who gets First Communion, AUTOM is a website. They sell very, very inexpensive bulk Catholic materials. AUTOM.com. Every family every couple that gets married in the church should get the Knights of Columbus family celebrates the creation of your new family. Doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't have to be time consuming, does have to coordinate with the parish, because we can't be at every baptism and every wedding because we weren't invited. Very, very simple to do, doesn't have to be expensive, makes a huge difference.
Graduating senior.
Sure. Confirmations. How many of y'all know, I mean, everybody knows what the priest's birthday is. How many of you know when his ordination day is? Ordination day, and oftentimes for the priest is more important than their birthday, because that's when their life changed and they were born again into Christ. Something to know. How about when you have seminarians? Do we write letters to them, tell them we're praying for them, know when they've got a test coming up, know them when they have a big discernment project coming up, that we're praying for them? Makes a difference, because those are going to be our pastors in 3, 4, 5, 8, 10 years. So if they like us, it makes our job easier. A lot of this stuff is found in the Leadership Resources Guide. All y'all should have gotten one of them, or will get one of those. Also available on the Supreme side. Any questions, comments, concerns? Anything I left out? How y'all drinking? How you like drinking from a fire hose?
Are you gonna send the slides out? Or?
Us, I can send a PDF of it out. But like I said, in the resource guide, a lot of that stuff is in there.
5093.
So if you
And
teach
and
your
your
guys.
council's financial secretary in Grand Lake got that. Your financial secretary of all your councils got that leadership resource in the mail already, along with 2 fraternal planners, 2 family,
I'll be handing out examples.
faith in action. We got a whole packet in the mail.
And we're sending out hard copy books, we're not sending out thumb drives, we're not sending out CDs, we're sending out actual paper you can touch, smell, feel, and know it's yours. So, any other questions, guys, anything I can do? If you find this would be useful, I'm sure we're gonna do regionals, get your guys to them, not just the Grand Night Financial Secretary. Get the guys from the council there, have guys show up. We went a couple of regionals last year in Washington. They had the state officers and directors and chairman traveling. We got the big guy. We got to hurry. Maggie said. I know. They brought the state officers and directors, chairman all over the state, 10 different locations. A couple of locations they had 10 or 12 presenters, and 1 guy showed up in the whole region. When we show up, bring your guys out. Is everybody gonna make it? No. Get somebody there from one of your councils. There's useful information. We're not gonna waste people's time because we know how valuable it is.
Some of the districts only bring the Grand Night financial secretary. All your officers should be invited to the district meeting, okay?
The new guy who just joined should be invited if he's interested.
Yeah.
Come and see who we are. Come and see what we do. What we've got to do is raise council's eyes above my council, my parish, to district, to state, to, holy crap, we're a lot of people in a lot of areas in the world.
Can you show the last slide?
Say it again?
The last slide. No, there.
No, my name
No.
and contact information.
Oh.
I wanna get your name right.
Guys, thank you so very much for your time. Thank you for what you have done. Thank you for what you will do. This is going to be another great year in Idaho, and it will be because of what y'all are doing.
Excellent. Maggie will have the booze and other drinks and snacks and stuff down here by 9 o'clock, I think. We're meeting in here for our soda. So anybody that wants to stay for that, great. Once again, I remind you, tomorrow, 8. It starts at 8. Joe Dunn is going to take pictures of the new district deputies, or
I'll just take everybody's picture.
Everybody's picture can be taken, yes.
You're gonna make it when you-
Go ahead.
All right. Just a moment before anybody leaves.
I'm out.
All right, thanks.
We're the state deputy. Over the weekend of May 21st, Council 1416 held a wheelchair mission Sunday.
Nice.
We hosted a donation-only pancake breakfast, and we solicited donations from all 5 masses that weekend. Today, the Council 416 and St. Edward's Confessor Church of Twin Falls are pleased to present the Idaho Knights of Columbus wheelchair mission with a check for $3,500.
Nice.
Very nice.
The Idaho Knights of Columbus continue to lead in charity, fraternity, and patriotism. Thank you very much, and here's the check.
Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Okay, no pictures. We'll get pictures. Okay. You gotta keep it a secret. Yeah, oh, that's right.
Just get it to Dan. He'll know what to do with it.
All right, I'll mail this to Dan. Thank you very much. Very much. Okay, everybody, those of you that want to leave, this is a good time. For those of you that would like to stay,
It's also a good time.
Stay.